It was one of those deceptively calm Saturday afternoons in our cul-de-sac. Birds were singing, sunlight filtered through the tree branches, and the whole neighborhood seemed to be dozing in summer peace. My 7-year-old daughter Emily was curled up at home with a mild summer cold. I had only run down the street to grab a few groceries, barely a 20-minute trip. Emily had been bundled up on the couch under her favorite pink blanket, eyes fixed on cartoons. We'd gone over the rules countless times. Never open the door when I'm not home. No exceptions, not for strangers, not even for neighbors. Wait until I return. That's when the knocking started. At first, just a few knocks. But Emily later told me it quickly grew louder, harder, more insistent banging that rattled the door frame. She peeked through the peephole and her stomach dropped. It was Linda Cartwright, the HOA president, self-proclaimed queen of the block. Everyone in the neighborhood called her Karen behind her back, and honestly she wore it like a badge of honor. She lived for scolding teenagers on skateboards, tattling to the HOA about garbage bins left out a few minutes too long, and micromanaging people's lawns like she was running a military base. But her favorite targets, me and Emily. Emily did exactly what she was told. She stayed quiet, she didn't answer. She hid small and frightened, hoping the woman would leave. But Linda didn't leave. Instead, she stalked around to the back of the house. And when she found the sliding glass door unlocked, she let herself in. That's when Emily screamed. I wasn't there to hear it. By the time I came home, grocery bags in hand, I walked into chaos. Emily was in the kitchen, face streaked with tears, her breathing ragged and sharp. I froze in the doorway, dropping the bags, eggs spilling, apples rolling across the floor, and rushed to her. She was trembling, her voice shaking so badly I could barely understand her. I pulled her close, whispering that she was safe, that I was here. And then I saw it, a bright red handprint across her cheek. For a moment the world blurred. My pulse roared in my ears and my whole body went cold. I asked her, careful though my stomach already knew the answer. Emily, who did this? She sniffled. Miss Linda came inside. She said I was rude for not opening, and then she slapped me. Everything inside me snapped. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from a fury so sharp it felt like fire in my veins. I was moving before my brain even caught up, storming toward the door, rage pounding through every step. Linda's house sat pristine across the street with her tacky seasonal wreath and those ridiculous, perfectly symmetrical flower pots. I didn't bother knocking. I kicked the door with a force that rattled her entryway. Open up, Linda, I roared, my voice carrying through the whole block. Curtains twitched, neighbors peeked out, I didn't care. The only thing that mattered was the sting still burning on my daughter's cheek. The door swung open and there she was, beige sweater set, hair in a painfully tight bun, lips curved in that same fake smile she flashed at every HOA meeting. Well, that was rude, she said, arms folded as if she hadn't just crossed every line imaginable. Is this about your daughter? I saw red. What the hell were you thinking? My voice was low, shaking with fury. You slapped a child. You broke into my home. She scoffed like I was the one being unreasonable. She disrespected me. I rang the bell 3 times. She ignored me. That's how kids become entitled. You people don't raise them right, you people. I took one step closer, my fists tight enough to cut my palms. She's 7 years old, 7, and you assaulted her because she didn't drop everything to entertain your ego. Her chin lifted. She needed discipline. I handled it. That was it. No pause, no second thought. My fist connected with her jaw in a crack that echoed off her porch. She stumbled backward, crashing against her doorframe, clutching her face with a shriek. You hit me, she wailed. You barbarian, I'm calling the police. Go ahead, I snapped, my voice cold, controlled. I already did. You're going to jail for breaking into my house and laying hands on my daughter. She tried to stand, but her legs wobbled beneath her. I stood tall over her, making sure she saw the fire in my eyes. If you ever come near my family again, I said, voice steady as stone, you won't just need a jaw surgeon, you'll need a body cast. And then I walked away. My hands still shook, but no longer from rage, just raw adrenaline. My chest heaved, but inside I felt calm. For the first time it felt like someone had finally stood up to her. Back inside, Emily looked up at me, eyes wide and searching. I knelt beside her, brushing her hair from her damp cheeks. She won't hurt you again, I whispered. Minutes later, the piercing wail of sirens shattered the neighborhood quiet. 2 black and whites pulled up, lights flashing. Sirens now cut. A crowd had gathered, neighbors whispering, some holding up their phones to record. Everyone knew something big had just gone down. I stood firmly on my porch, calm but unshakable. Emily was safe inside with Mrs. Parker, our kind-hearted next-door neighbor, who had rushed over the second she realized something was wrong. Across from me, Linda lay sprawled out, clutching her jaw like a marionette with its strings cut. One of the officers, a stocky man in his 40s with weary eyes, approached me first. You the one who called this in? Yes, I answered. My voice was steady. She broke into my house and struck. My daughter. Before he could reply, a shrill, piercing cry cut through the air. Linda was limping across her lawn like she was auditioning for a soap opera, still clutching her face. Officer, arrest him. He attacked me without provocation. He punched me in the face just for knocking on his door. The second officer hurried to her side, guiding her to the curb as she launched into a dramatic performance about assault, community respect, and the fall of civilized society. If Emily's cheek hadn't still been burning with a clear red handprint, the scene might have been almost laughable. I turned back to the officer in front of me. Come inside, you need to see the footage. Thankfully, my security cameras had captured everything. I pulled it up. The clip by the kitchen window told the whole story. Linda circling around, sliding open the back door like she owned the place, storming into my kitchen, shouting at my daughter, and then clear as daylight, slapping her. Emily's scream tore through the audio, sharp enough to twist the knife in my chest all over again. The officer watched in silence, his jaw tightening. After a long moment, he glanced at his partner. "Yeah," he muttered. "We've got enough?" I followed him back outside just in time to hear Linda screech. "You can't be serious. You're really going to take his word over mine? He's violent. He hit me." The officer's tone turned to steel. "Ma'am, we've reviewed the home security footage. You unlawfully entered his residence and physically struck his minor child. You're under arrest for trespassing and assaulting a minor." For once, Linda was speechless. Her jaw, figurative this time, dropped wide open. "You're arresting me?" "Yes, ma'am," the officer replied flatly. "Please stand up." The crowd that had gathered began to murmur. Someone even clapped. Linda's eyes darted wildly, scanning the neighbors she had lorded over for years, only to see relief, maybe even satisfaction, on their faces. "This neighborhood is going to hell," she shrieked, her voice cracking as the officers read her rights and guided her toward the squad car. But nobody rallied to her defense, not one. As the door slammed shut on the patrol car and the flashing lights carried her away, I stood rooted on the grass. The so-called queen of the HOA had just been dethroned in full view of the entire block, and for the first time I saw something in my neighbors' faces I hadn't seen in years: relief. Inside, Emily was sitting quietly at the kitchen table. Her stuffed bunny was tucked safely under her arm, a juice box clutched in her small hand. Mrs. Parker gave me a gentle nod and slipped out to give us space. I sat across from my daughter. "You okay, Pumpkin?" She looked up, eyes wide. Is she going to come back?" "No," I said firmly. "She won't, I promise." She nodded slowly, but I could see it. The hesitation, the seed of doubt that had been planted, that was what broke me. Not the slap itself, not even the trespassing, but the fear that home wasn't safe anymore. That adults couldn't be trusted to protect her. That was what Linda had taken from her in less than a minute and what I'd spend every day trying to restore. Later that evening, my phone buzzed. Officer Ramirez, the one who'd reviewed the footage, was on the line. "She's being charged with felony child endangerment, assault, and unlawful entry." He said, "We'll need you and your daughter to make statements, but with the footage and her testimony, the case is strong." I thanked him and hung up, relief washing over me. That's when a soft knock echoed at the front door. This time gentle, it was Bill Thompson, a longtime resident and HOA board member. He shifted uncomfortably before speaking. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. We let Linda get away with too much for too long. She bullied everyone, but no one stood up to her. We thought ignoring her was easier. But what she did to your daughter, it's beyond inexcusable." I nodded. "Thank you, but she's not your problem anymore." He sighed. "Tomorrow we're holding an emergency HOA meeting to remove her from the board permanently. Should have happened years ago." I appreciated the words, but I knew the only apology that mattered was the one I'd give Emily every day by making sure she never felt unsafe in her own home again. The next morning I drove her to school myself. As she stepped out of the car, she looked back at me and smiled. Small, fragile, but real healing. Because monsters don't just hide under beds. Sometimes they live across the street. But even monsters bleed, and sometimes they finally get exactly what they deserve. So, if you believe Karen got what was coming to her, smash that like button, drop a justice served in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life savage stories just like this.